Hello and welcome. And today we're going to be talking about 6 ideas to help boost self-awareness. And self-awareness is part of this overall approach. And there are 6 elements to self-awareness, to self-love. And what we're building by tackling each of these 6 elements separately is we're building this sense or deepening our sense of self-love. But dealing with self-love by itself can be difficult and challenging because we are products of our society and we've been trained to feel uncomfortable about this idea of loving ourselves. So before we start, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Nick Grimshaw, just in case you haven't seen me anywhere around the web. And what I do is I teach people who seek to live an inspired life how to use the tools of affirmation, gratitude, mindfulness, and meditation to achieve that end, to achieve that life they're dreaming of living. So let's get started today. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, can everybody see that? I hope everybody can see the screen. Okay, so we're talking about self-awareness and the 6 ideas to help you rediscover yourself. And in total, what we're doing, let me go to the next slide. Let me see, I want to go to this slide here. And this is the 6 elements that make up self-love. And they are self-growth, self-esteem, self-respect, self-care, self-awareness, which we're working on today, and self-worth. Okay, so what we want to look at is self-awareness is a deep understanding of ourselves. And that can be scary to be looking at ourselves, but the whole idea is it's an objective look at ourselves. And so we're not seeking to be critical. We're not seeking to judge ourselves. We are simply seeking to deepen our understanding of who we are. And as we do that, we can build our self-love. Now, there's an important element here as part of those 6 elements and what we're doing, and it's called interbeing. And this is a Buddhist idea that says that when you start to operate on one area or one part of something, you are operating on the whole. So you can't sort of do things in isolation, which is why tackling self-love from all these various different aspects means that we're also working on self-love itself as we do it. So that's the idea of interbeing, and keep that in mind as we move through this presentation, that everything that you do, everything that you work on, you're building your self-awareness. Okay, so these are the 6 ideas to help you rediscover yourself. Okay, evaluate your successes and failures. And again, it's looking at taking a deep dive, using a journal, and there's a blog post that goes with this video, or that I'll link to this video. And in that video, or in that blog post, sorry, I included a short video of a man terrified because he's being asked to spend some time with himself, examining his life and his feelings and his emotions, and he is totally freaked out. And in fact, one of the latest findings is that 60% of men and 30% of women would rather take an electric shock than to be alone with themselves for any time at all. So startling fact. Okay, so what we're doing is looking at our successes and failures. Why were we successful? What actions did we take to be successful? And then now look at our failures. Look at the failures. What happened when we failed? What were we thinking? How did we react to failure? And write this all down. It is part of learning deeply about yourself. So again, another area to work on is likes and dislikes. So what we're doing here is we're taking a deep dive into ourselves, and we're looking and exploring in different aspects of ourselves, and we're writing this down in a journal note. Now, you're not going to do this all in one day. The idea is maybe to have a little routine developed where you spend a little time each day alone in self-reflection. And you begin to write down in the journal some of these things. So examine your likes and dislikes. Do you like team sports, as an example, or individual sports? Do you like skydiving? For me, skydiving is not an option. There's no way I'm jumping out of an airplane. I don't care how many girls tell me it's great for me. I'm not doing that. I know my heart would stop the moment I stepped off that plane. So there's something that we know about ourselves. I am a Taurus. I like to keep my feet firmly on the ground. So skydiving is not something I'm going to do, but this is developing a deeper understanding, and I can love myself even though I have this flaw of not wanting to skydive, if you can call it a flaw. So what types of people do you like? What activities do you enjoy? Do you enjoy them with people? Do you like sort of solitude activities out in the wild by yourself? What are your likes and dislikes? Ask a good friend to help you with this project. And I really do stress that you're asking a good friend. You want somebody who's positive and upbeat and understands why you're doing this self-exploration. And in fact, you might want to team up together as you work to deepen your understanding yourself. So maybe you can do an exchange together or work together on the project. But make sure this is a person who's upbeat, who loves you, who doesn't judge, and can look at your flaws objectively. So that's what you want this person to be doing. To describe you honestly, to list your strengths and weaknesses, because an exterior view sometimes is better than your own view. Somebody else has a different view, and it might surprise you what they think your strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, and encourage them to be honest. You want honest, you don't want some sort of milk-fed response or feedback. You want real honest feedback. List your values. So again, this is an area that a lot of people have trouble. And when I'm coaching people and I say, what are your values? People kind of stumble over that. And it's important that you understand what your core values are. What do you really stand for? Because it's part of your expressing your self-love, to understand those core values and lived by them. This boosts your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-awareness. So you can see how we're building all of these areas at once. So we have a way to help you with that at Beautiful Summer Morning, and it's our core value assessment tool. And just below this video in the blog post, you will find a link to get your core value assessment. It doesn't take long to do. And what you end up with is 3 to 5 core values. So I really highly recommend you do that at the end of this video. How do you spend your time? Let me move myself out of the way here. Let's go over here. How do you like to spend your time? So here's another way to examine. Excuse me, let me take a drink of water. It's another way to look at your life. How do you like to spend your time? Do you like to spend it with a group of friends? Do you like more solo occupations? Like one of the things I love to do is to curl up in a chair and read with my friendly dog at my feet and my wood fire going if it's a cold day or a rainy day. I just love the solitude of sitting by a window, watching the rain come down and reading and maybe having a nice cup of tea. That is something I love. What are the things that you love? How do you like to spend your time? A lot of people like to be active all the time, or they're in sports, or they're in clubs, or they're in gardening clubs, or they're volunteering. What is it that you love to do? And start writing this down. So maybe you want to put these in the 6 different categories, and then each day go and take a look at those categories and write something new that you're discovering about yourself. Okay, what do you avoid? And this is, again, an important area of examination. And I'm just going to tell you a story now. One of the things I avoid is I really have trouble dealing with people who have had a little bit too much to drink. It turns me completely off. And what I do is I shut down. I just withdraw. I pull in away from that person or that situation. But two of my core values are compassion and what's the other one that goes with that? There's compassion for that person and to be open and to be tolerant. But instead of being those two things, I pull in. So it's an area, as I see that about myself and I learn that about myself, I see that it's an area I can do some work on. It doesn't mean that I have to accept a drunk person in my life. What it means is that I have to learn not to shut down, because the shutting down hurts me more than the person who's had a little bit too much to drink. So my reaction to that is harming me because I'm pulling in instead of staying expansive and loving and caring. So here again, you're getting a deep insight into yourself as you do these exercises. And really the only way to improve your sense of self-awareness is to do these exercises and affirmations. So in the blog post, there'll be some affirmations you can also use. But basically it's that looking into yourself, that self-reflection that we all find really uncomfortable, as you've heard me state earlier. Okay, so those are the 6 steps. And self-awareness is one of those really important aspects of self-love. Because before you can truly love yourself, you really need to know yourself and dig down a little deeper. And yes, it's painful and it's difficult, but it's something that is important for us to try and persevere at, to work on every day, to make it part of our practice. So once more, I'm going to have to move myself. Here we go. Okay, so we have a bonus offer right now. As you listen to this, just below the video is your link to go and get your core assessment tool, your core values self-assessment tool, which is going to help you greatly understand yourself better and how and where you operate from. It not only helps self-awareness, but it helps self-esteem, self-confidence. It helps you stay focused, because you know these are your core values and that these are your core values and you're going to maintain them in your life. Okay, so let's stop share for a moment. Okay, so I want to thank you for spending some time with me today. I want to tell you that I really appreciate you, that if you want to connect with me underneath this video, there are all different types of ways that you can connect with me. And don't forget, please like, comment, share on this video. It helps me get more people, more eyes onto my video and onto my message. And until we meet again, dream big, live inspired.